What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. Ray, we are live. What's going on, my brother?
Hello, Wes. It's January. I'm, recommitting to the scorecard, and so thinking a lot about sleep this morning. And then my learning segment that I did was kind of personal finance, wealth building, and so I did a personal budget, which was depressing in the extreme. But happy to talk about sleep if you want to keep it chipper.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I think number one, recommitting to the scorecard. It is what keeps me grounded. We haven't talked a lot about it recently, but I completely agree with it. It is the thing. Honestly, it helps protect my psychology in times of chaos, because then I can look back objectively and saying, oh, well, I'm doing my baseline stuff every single day. So it doesn't matter what this person says or what this result over here is. I know that I'm keeping homeostasis because of my inputs.
And for those of you who are new to the squad, the scorecard is a list of 10 or so daily habits that we stack ideally within 1 hour. They include like making sure you get an adequate amount of sleep. For most of us, that's 8 hours. Weigh yourself, because it's not the only metric of health, but it is a good, it's a good metric of health, or it's one good metric of health. We drink as much water as we can in the morning, a liter up in Canada, maybe half gallon down in the US. We send an act of love, which is a text message to someone who needs it, or someone for whom we're grateful, or someone we love. So that could be like your mom, your brother, someone you're mentoring, someone who needs, picking up. We review our goals. For most of us, that's in the form of a vision board. We do a learning segment, which is typically a 5-minute YouTube video. We journal on whatever we want. I usually journal on what I've gleaned from the learning segment. Then we do at least 10 minutes of movement and 10 minutes of meditation. So that's the scorecard. And if you go to our website or our Discord server, you can get a PDF version that you can download, print, and fill out if that's what works for you.
Oh, real quick. Have you seen the website, Ray?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, we got priorities here, brother. Okay, let me see if I can share my screen here. My Magic keyboard and trackpad for my Mac are not working today. So I'm
sure it's the computer and not you, Wes.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Okay. So we're rolling this out in 2024. Kyle, what's up, brother? Let's see.
Morning, how's it going? Great. Morning.
Oh, wow. What's up, man?
Hey, good morning, guys.
What's up?
Phil, what's up, dude? Let's share my screen here. 1 second. Okay. So, can you guys see that?
I'm looking at it on my phone, and I love it. Love it.
I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, dude. I'm watching the Karate Kid reboot on Netflix with my daughter. It's called Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And their mantras are like, what is it? Strike first, strike hard, no mercy. And so that's kind of like I'm feeling that kind of like that intensity, that dedication, that stick-to-itiveness. from this website. Awesome.
So yeah, I think it's legit, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's formally up and running. Phil, we've got 3 thumbnail pictures for you right now. I'm not sure what's going on there. I know that the website likes to give you, Crowdcast likes to give you a little bit of trouble. Paul Wall, welcome back, dude.
Yeah,
how's
dude.
life, man?
Hey man, thanks for having me back. Yeah, it was going pretty good. Just real busy with projects and stuff through the holidays, and I got to make time for this stuff. If I don't, it's not going to happen. So trying to do better about managing my time, managing the people I got to answer to at work, so I can make stuff like this happen. So trying to switch from operating to strategy over the next year. I think that's something that's really going to benefit me long term. So trying to do better at planning and prioritizing and scheduling, just to stay on top of all that sort of stuff. So
awesome. Yeah, and to Ray's point, which is a good one, getting back to the scorecard, covering the basics and the fundamentals, and having that be the baseline. And Ray pointing out that sleep is just one of the top ones. I think in 2023, it was probably my number one fundamental goal. I think I probably hit it 90% of the time. I normally get sick 5 to 8 times a year, no exaggeration. In 2023, I personally believe I didn't get sick at all, minus 1 or 2 days of like, not even sniffles, but just like, sort of like sinus headache. And that was it. And normally I could chalk up several weeks of downtime per year because of sickness. And the only thing I changed was sleep. And that was it. And not working out when I felt depleted, if that makes sense. Those are the only 2 variables that I can think back to. Ray, how was your sleep in 2023? And do you need to recommit to anything in 2024?
Quantity of sleep was for the most part good. But as I've prepared for this pod today, I've been reviewing Andrew Huberman's recommendations on sleep. And it's not about quantity, it's about quality as well, and consistency. So those are things I'm going to try and fine tune. He had a tweet, I don't know how long ago, 2 years ago, where he said he gave a rundown of like the best life hacks or health hacks. Best nootropic is sleep. What's a nootropic, Wes?
Isn't a nootropic like a brain enhancing supplement?
Best stress relief, sleep. Best trauma release, sleep. Best immune booster, sleep. Best hormone augmentation, sleep. Best emotional stabilizer, sleep. Now, I, for one, need a boost in all of those categories. So, I think that's why we should have a little conversation about sleep, just in case we, when we're tired or in a moment of weakness, we decide that we might sacrifice sleep or just consider it expendable. I want to talk about why it's essential.
Yeah. Well, first of all, where'd you get that list?
That was a tweet he did on September 15th of 2021. So I will share that with the group.
I love it. I think it's outstanding. I think sleep is one of those tricky factors or tricky metrics where you almost feel like a sissy if you brag about how much sleep you get, because it seems like it implies that there's a direct inverse correlation with number of hours of sleep and productivity. But then the other thing is kind of like attacking your sleep. You almost have to reverse your adrenaline and testosterone to get that job done, that goal done, versus like every other goal is like, I could just attack it. I could fight it. I could go on offense versus, sleep is almost the opposite. And what I've said before to myself and to others is that, in 2023 and 2024, my goal starts the night before, right? My goals start the night before, which is get your butt to bed. And you can't complain about your lack of energy if you didn't go to bed at 9:30 p.m. or 10 p.m. Kyle, let me throw it over to you. How is your sleep on a scale of 0 to 10? Can you prove it if you say 10? And have you noticed any benefits or downsides to either getting too much or too little sleep?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a 10. It's always the biggest struggle for at least for myself, it's kind of, finding a way to kind of stay consistent. I'm able to do so. I kind of give myself a time limit of, we'll say, before 12 o'clock, I have to at least start turning things off. Everything should be off. Start, probably read a book, listen to a podcast before going to sleep. But however, when the times where, I had to stay up late to finish something, or kind of like, I'm working on a hobby or something like that, where I find myself sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, of course, waking up is a struggle. And when you wake up, you don't get I don't get some sense of clarity. But when I feel like I wake up, when I have a good sense of sleep, we'll say, good 8 hours sleep, 6 to 8 hours sleep, I notice that I'm a lot more alert, and I am able to kind of process things that a little bit more faster during the day, in that sense.
Yeah, fair enough. Paul Wall, how about you, brother?
I'd say I'm probably about a 6. I don't do a very good job about like setting aside time for it, but I do go to bed generally, I don't know, like 10 and 11, and try and be up by like 6 or 7. So I could do better, but like with a kid, he wakes up sometimes a lot in the middle of the night, and then like you're just up for a while after until you can get back. So some days are better than others, but I'd say average probably like a 6.
Yeah, and then Ray, would you mind reading down that list one more time quickly?
Sure. So this is a list of kind of life hacks, health hacks that Andrew Huberman tweeted about on September 15, 2021. Best nootropic, which is a kind of brain medicine, let's call it. Sleep. Best stress reliever. Sleep. Best trauma release. Sleep. Best immune booster. Sleep. Best hormone augmentation. Sleep. Best emotional stabilizer. Sleep. And so it's almost as if like sleep is one of those things that approaches a panacea, which means a cure all. Yeah. Like modern pharmaceutical medicine is always searching for a panacea remedy for everything that ails us: aging, obesity, cardiovascular health. Whereas exercise and adequate sleep are really the closest we can come to panaceas in terms of the kind of million different therapeutic or positive applications it has in the person who does it correctly.
Well, I think to throw it out there, I think one of the most underlooked benefits of sleep is the impact it has on your relationships, whether it be your intimate relationship, your friendships, your work relationships, your peers, etc.
Relationships to the other people who share the road with you, for sure.
Yeah. I mean that in a very serious way, not as just some like, oh, add this to the list, because it kind of touches on it. I'd almost bring that to the top of the list. Ray, what's been your experience on whether or not sleep has impacted any relationships for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, in the kind of minor interactions in my life, I'm more absent-minded and spaced out when I'm sleep deprived, right? So I'm not alert. I think I'm probably much less polite and observant to other people's kind of verbal and nonverbal signals, right? Mm-hmm. And then absolutely more impatient with my intimate partner or with my daughter, if I'm sleep deprived. And just incapable of performing optimally. And that means, physically, intellectually, and of course, in my community and in service to others.
Well, and I wonder if it's as serious as how many arguments do you think percentage-wise could have been removed if the only variable that was changed was sleep?
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
Hey, dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
I don't think I make choices better when I'm sleep deprived, right? Like back when I used to drink and party like a 20-year-old in my 20s, 30s, and 40s. Did I make any decisions hungover that were, better than a sober mind? I don't think so. Not a good strategy to live by.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'd be curious to think about it for myself. How many, let's say even non-optimal or catastrophic in terms of results that I've acquired on the bad side from lack of sleep. Once I removed drinking from my life, which I never had a problem with, but just, it was like, why am I doing it? It's just, that I got a multiples increase in terms of performance and results and emotional equilibrium. And then once I started getting even more committed to sleep, the same level of 10, 20x improvement came about. So Kyle, what is your perspective if you had to think percentage wise on your, let's say, poor decisions? Percentage wise, how many think of what percent of those could you have removed, do you think, as a direct correlation with sleep? And don't just like play along. Maybe it's 0, but I could probably say for me, it's probably 20-ish%. That's my guess.
Yeah, I think for me at least it would be more around 30-40% in a sense, because I'm very emotionally inclined, kind of grew up with a sensitive kind of empathic mindset due to my mom and my grandma in a sense. So when it comes to, the emotional shakenness and that turbulence in a sense, it does partly of it, 30 to 40% kind of gets affected through sleep. I notice where it's kind of like you feel a lot more kind of drained. Your social battery is not, up to date in a sense. It needs a refresher. And at that point, it kind of feels like, my body's telling me, bro, just sleep. It's going to fix it. Just sleep. And then usually when I take those power naps or something like that throughout the day, or, if I have time to take a power nap, and when I wake up, I can feel the refresh, like, okay, I can tackle the day again. And I know there's some people, like my grandpa, for example, he sleeps all the time and he's always happy when he wakes up. So I think that kind of translates in a sense of, maybe the older people got it good and they got it right in a sense to sleep all day and kind of just, energy level wise, it's good for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like because Ray's just reading down the list, but if you gave that to a marketing company and said, hey, create a product and market that these are the results. I mean, Ray, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's like a silver bullet, like panacea. Like, how could it not be? Phil, let me throw it over to you, bro. What is your opinion on this particular topic? I'm not sure if he's frozen. I think he might be frozen. So, Paul Wall, I think while Phil is frozen, Paul, let me throw it over to you. Do you think there's any other metric that you could actually hit on that would have this profound or this much surface area of an impact on your life?
Probably not. I feel like the biggest benefit would probably be like the emotional regulation that kind of goes along with it. Sometimes I don't feel that like the outcome of a lot of the things I do would be changed if I had enough sleep. But I know working like kind of like a high pace, there's a lot of stuff going on and it's easy to get overwhelmed. I find myself like getting stuck sometimes in that overwhelmed feeling. And I think that like more sleep would help with that and help me better cope with that,
Got it. Love it. And Phil, interject whenever you want here, buddy. But Ray, any other words of wisdom on sleep?
Yeah. So Huberman has a list of 10 or so items on sleep, and I'd like to quiz you and see which ones you do. Okay?
Ooh. Okay, let's do it.
So, pop quiz. Sunlight in the AM, 10 minutes of bright sunlight, 20 to 30 if it's cloudy, and 30 to 60 if it's cold and cloudy and part of the world that doesn't get that much sun in the winter. So, The benefits are it wakes you up. It sets your circadian clock or rhythm, which kind of like alerts you when you should go to sleep that night. So it's that it programs you that far in advance. And it regulates like correct dopamine production, melatonin production, timing, and prevents cortisol spikes late in the day. So living in California, I mean, this is an easy one for you. This is a softball to start. How often do you get direct sunlight outdoors, ideally, in the AM?
95% of the time. To be fair, because I listened to Andrew Huberman's podcast on sleep. Mm-hmm. But last year, I probably started that midway through last year.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel the healthful benefits of that particular item?
So I don't know, to be honest, because I followed his protocol, like the full cocktail of it. It's hard to pull out the individual variables. And just to be clear, I believe, number one, he put some stipulations around it. So apparently it's the yellow and blue hues of the light that trigger the circadian rhythm. So that's just when the sun is kind of like eclipsing over the horizon. And as you can imagine, when we're a bunch of monkeys running around, right, like we were very much in lockstep with nature. But now we have a whole bunch of artificial, whether it be lights and infrastructure and so on, to shelter us from that. Even the temperature, by the way, is impactful. So anybody who wants to follow this protocol, apparently you're not supposed to do it through glass either, right? You apparently can do it through your eyeglasses, but because apparently that focuses the light on to the back of your retina versus a regular pane of glass does not have that same focus and apparently reduces 90% of the effectiveness. So just for anybody willing to follow that, you might want to consider those things.
Waking up the same time each day and going to sleep when you first get sleepy. So again, this is so having a consistent sleep time and schedule assists with the circadian clock and rhythm, gives you the best chance of having restful sleep, and prevents overnight wake-ups. How are you at scheduling consistent bedtime and rise time?
Bad. For me, it's probably like it ranges from on a weekday, 10 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. And then on a weekend, I mean, it could be 1 a.m. I hate going to bed. I feel literally every single time I go to bed, I feel like I'm giving up. That's not exaggerated. That's a literal feeling. It's a visceral feeling that I feel like I'm just tapping out. So to answer your question, it's horrible.
And good. A little bit of texture, a little bit of humanity from Wes. Love it. And because the consistent sleep can be better for you than more sleep. Right, the benefits of consistent sleep in terms of your productivity can be better. Like 6 hours consistently can be better for some people than 7 hours.
Yeah. Do any of you guys hit that, like the going to bed and waking up same time? Does anybody hit that consistently?
Well, Paul mentioned, around bed at 10, wake at 6. And I try to live by that. Try.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to do a better job of that.
I think at least for me.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kyle.
No, yeah. I think at least for me, I hit consistently. I kind of have times where I know where if I set on, basically I sleep at 10 or 12, I know I'll wake up around 6 or even like 7 sharp. And then if I sleep later than 12, I notice that I know I can wake up around exactly 8 or 9 sharp. And so I kind of plan the times, or I kind of tell myself, if I'm going to hit that 12, I'm going to wake up at 11. So I got to hit before sleep, hit the snooze before 12.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I need to do a better job of that. I think also what I need to do is probably to convince myself, because even right now as I talk about it, right, like I don't think I'm treating it as seriously as I should. Like in other words, if you ask me, Ray, well, how many cigarettes are you smoking a day? Right. If you saw me smoking cigarettes, you would, as a friend, you'd be like, dude, like, fuck are you doing? This is obviously going to kill you. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know this to be true. I wouldn't be shocked if sleep deprivation has similar type of very severe negative consequences as cigarettes do.
Well, I think that maybe a mindset that would be helpful for you is that you said you no longer work out when you're feeling sick because you know from experience that'll just prolong the illness period. And so I think maybe the same approach to sleep in terms of consistent time will work for you in that you're paying dividends to your future self. Or Rome wasn't built in a day, and so the kind of things you achieve are daily, weekly, monthly, annually, right? And so the consistent sleep is ensuring your success on the weekly, monthly, annually. That's maybe one way for you to think about it.
Yeah, no, I think what I really need to upgrade is like my hatred for not getting it. So what does it say? Like, what you don't hate, you will tolerate, something along those lines. And unfortunately, I think there are certain pockets in society that have profound negative consequences, as profound, if not worse, than some things that society does hate, smoking to be an example. But we don't treat it with the same level of intensity for one reason or another. Alcohol is the same exact way. Ray, if I were to come into your house and I were high on some sort of heroin or whatever other extreme drug, you would probably not treat me the same way or tolerate it as much as you would if I came in pissed drunk. Why? Why? What is the reason for that? And I would actually argue for alcohol, it's more detrimental than some other drugs, but because those other drugs don't fit the society's narrative, that we don't treat it with the same level of what would you say, of hatred, so I think I need to get sleep to that level.
Right on. Next item is Human recommends avoid caffeine within 8 to 12 hours before sleep. So for those of us who go to sleep at midnight, that is have a coffee no later than 4 p.m. Those of us who go to sleep at 10, have a coffee no later than 2 p.m. Coffee, but I know that your caffeine preferences are other than coffee, Wes. So tell me, do you observe this recommendation?
Yes.
Is your caffeine intake regulated and timed carefully?
Yes.
And what is it?
So I only drink tea. So I drink 1 tea bag of Earl Grey tea in the morning, and one serving of matcha green tea. And I stop that typically before 11 or noon. Yeah.
Awesome. Avoid bright lights, especially overhead, as you head to bed. If you live in a part of the world where sunlight is not, abundant, like Canada in the winter, overhead lights in the morning can trigger some of the healthful benefits of responding to nature rising.
This app is so fucking stupid.
And then
this fucking shit was made by a fucking monkey.
At nights, like in a couple hours before night, they say avoid bright lights, especially overhead. Again, your circadian rhythm can be disrupted. Overhead light stimulates the sun. So do you have an approach to overhead light or bright light?
No, I suck at it, to be honest with you. Like, I just put the lights on in my home, and I think to maintain integrity with this, I believe it's like basically as soon as the sun goes down, you're supposed to simulate that. From my understanding, I think what humans are supposed to do is like as soon as the sun goes down, that's when you're supposed to go to bed. So I just don't do it at all. And to be completely honest, I don't even attempt to do it. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Well, I stick to audio. I'm more of an audio learner myself in general, so I don't watch much TV, don't watch too many YouTube videos. I do most of it listening. And so my before bed habits are typically listening and not bright screen related. So I get a pretty good score on that.
Do you just walk around with like a candle in your hand? Like, how do you?
No. So I don't have a bright device inches from my face.
Okay.
Lying in bed and then wonder why I can't doze off.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that too, though.
That's the minor, success I can claim. The lights are on in my house, of course. Like I don't have lights off and just braille everything everywhere.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah. Well, because Andrew Huberman was talking to another professor at Stanford, who I think may have been in the sleep department, and he commits to only putting like low level and different color lights on in his house.
Yeah.
Only on lamps that are like below like chest level or something like that.
Well, that's why he's a sleep professor. And he can have that. Yeah. I mean, the rest of us have to live in the real world where, our spouses want to watch as much like romance reality-based reality TV series as they can possibly consume. And so, he probably lives a sad, lonely existence and doesn't know the chaos you face, Wes.
Yeah, and for some reason, Paul, I know it seems like yours is muted, but for some reason we still.
I think is he like he's crushing walnuts or something, or shelling walnuts?
Typing, Ray. Yeah, Ray. Honestly, that's just one of those areas. I don't know that I'm going to commit to making progress there.
The bright light.
Like I would love to say, but my girlfriend lives with me, and her son, and I just don't know that I'm going to be able to execute on that. I'll try my best. I don't even think I want to try, actually.
So even like staring at your phone moments before bed, is that something that you don't see?
I'm also horrible at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Again, a little bit of texture, a little bit of humanity from Wes. This is welcome. Limit daytime naps.
I'm just curious because I like to read I like to read on my phone at night, 10, 15 minutes before going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
I do set my phone on whatever that like low light is or
yellow light or night shift or whatever they call it. I have that in my notes here. The iPhone has like a yellow light setting that you can time.
Yeah.
Go off at 5 p.m. or 7 p.m. I don't know I don't know how much that moves the needle personally.
Yeah, I do that, but I'm sure that's still not optimal.
Right. How about this one, Wes? Limit daytime naps to 0 to 90 minutes. Man,
I don't know about you guys.
Napping less than 90 minutes?
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. I don't nap at all. 0. Actually, the only time I napped last year was on Christmas Day. Was at my girlfriend's parents' house, and I was like, I'm whooped because I've been working crazy hours. So I was like, I'm going to take a little bit of nap. I slept for 5 hours. So I don't know where that lands in your matrix, but that was the only nap that I took in 2023.
That's not a nap. That's probably just like a medical emergency. That's probably like a coma, right?
Yeah. It felt amazing. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Does anybody here? Do any guys nap?
I mean, I don't nap with any regularity, and when I do, like I feel guilty, and I feel like, well, this is why I'm broke. But lights out.
Yeah, no, I'll be super honest. I literally feel, and this is not good, and this is not some sort of humble brag. I feel like I feel worthless if I nap. Right, like that. If I'm trying to accurately describe what goes on with my emotionality if I nap, and that is what I feel. If I ever nap, I feel that before and after the nap.
Yeah, for me, it's like a drug where it's like whenever I do nap, it's like, it's the middle of the day. What am I doing? Put on the pajamas. Napping is for losers. Get tucked in. This is like a drug. This is like destroying my relationships. Mask goes on. It's such like, I think it might be like for those who suffer from anxiety or depression, a nap can be like an unhealthy escape. For those who have like, really good discipline and structure, I think, a 15 or 20 minute nap or whatever it is can have the effect of like a big coffee and refuel, add fuel to their tank. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah. So I can definitely tell you when I was in college, And for a little bit after college, I used to nap whenever I could. And it felt great. And I would set my timer to that 20-minute mark, and it felt phenomenal. But at the same time, I needed it. I was, like, no exaggeration, I was probably averaging about 5 hours of sleep, maybe 4.5 hours sleep a night. But ever since I started evolving my sleep to be more intentional about it, I honestly, I haven't even needed it. Like, I'm not fighting against the urge.
Right.
So
I wonder if any of the other lads nap as a kind of energy strategy, or do they nap just because they want to treat themselves like a pampered goddess? What do you guys think?
Yeah, Paul Wall, do you nap?
No, I don't. Last week during work at lunch, though, I did go like lay down for half an hour. I was like, "Fuck this!" Like, it was good to take that time to like. It gave me time to sit and think about, like, why am I feeling like fuck this, you know? So it was good in that way, because otherwise I wouldn't have taken the time, and I'd have just been like kind of an asshole for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like I said, I can totally see benefit to it. In fact, I don't know if it would be comparable to meditation. I assume not, but I was
thinking that
similar, you know, like maybe just like having a reset, but you don't get the added benefit of like building the muscle of like learning how to navigate your thoughts. So please don't let anybody like read my interpretation. I'm just giving you my honest feelings about it, but I know those are wrong. Right? Like, I'd imagine if you look at the animal kingdom, there's probably a lot of resting and recuperation even during the day.
Oh yeah, like I was thinking that Huberman naps. He gets wee little naps in, and also in terms of sleep, I was thinking about the animal kingdom and how, like, cats, dogs, monkeys, babies, they kind of catch sleep here and there, and then they go on the hunt, and then they, you know what I mean, or they're guarding, or they're gathering food, and it's not this kind of like human, like inhuman modern civilization schedule.
Yeah.
Right?
Speaking of that, I've downgraded my favorite animal to the cliche lion, because I recently learned that they like lay around. The male lion like lays around for like 23.4 hours a day or something like that. So I've upgraded my animal to the black leopard. So just for the record, yeah. There's a whole bunch of reasons. We'll have to have a whole cast on it sometime, because I did some research and like I built a spreadsheet on it. It's like I very much gravitate towards the black leopard rather than the lion.
You built a spreadsheet, of course you, about your spirit animal. Of course you did.
100%.
Waking. That's actually. Yeah. I mean, I was teasing you, roasting you there, but that's actually that's awesome. Like, to take that much care into figuring out your spirit animal, or like your avatar. You know,
absolutely.
that you can kind of like like that kind of like a costume you can put on when you need to be deadly or ferocious or stealthy or whatever.
It sounds silly, but there's a reason that Kobe Bryant used the black mamba and like very much was convinced of it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was not just some sort of like little parlor trick. It's like it's an easy mental visual mantra to access, and it's like I'm the black mamba, right, or black leopard, or whatever you want to be. But actually going through and doing the legwork of like why is that your favorite animal? Why is that visualization important to you? But like I said, I could literally talk to you for 2 hours on that particular topic.
Waking up in the middle of the night, do you ever suffer from that?
No.
Okay.
So there was
normal.
one point.
It's normal to wake up and go to the bathroom or kind of like adjust your posture, but we're talking about kind of like wake up with anxiety and not be able to go back to sleep, or wake up and try as you might just have a kind of feeling of awakeness when you wish you were sleeping, right?
I have experienced that before. I don't know about you, Ray, but I think it's when I got surgery one time, so I couldn't work out. It was like 9 weeks or something like that, where I couldn't work out because I got hernia surgery. And I had some trouble sleeping through the night then. But if anybody's having trouble sleeping throughout the night, number one, reduce caffeine intake. Number two, visualize your energy level as a gas tank. And if you're not getting that gas tank to zero through exercise, like I personally believe that all of us men have a certain natural gas tank that like the universe has given to us, that if you don't use, you're going to have negative consequences from it. So before you try melatonin, which I completely disagree with people using, or any sort of like supplements, actually do the natural remedies first. And this one, for this particular metric, like go and run a mile and see if you sleep any differently than when you don't exercise at all.
Yeah. In terms of supplements, Huberman recommends certain kinds of magnesium, but again,
magnesium 3 and 8 because it crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Right, but again, don't like keep adding supplements till you get your restful sleep. It's kind of an addition by subtraction kind of thing, like you like to say, which is just you likely need to take habits or inputs out of your routine. Like, for example, you mentioned caffeine, but also alcohol messes with your sleep. And so do most sleep medicines. Like most sleep medicines will kind of knock you out or gas you out, but like they do not give you quality sleep, and they are not part of a sustainable sleep habit or protocol or routine. Right. And then you mentioned temperature a little earlier. Apparently, just like turning down the lights is kind of simulating the sun going down and alerting the animal kingdom that it's time to sleep. There is a commensurate drop in temperature when the sun goes down, right?
Yep.
And apparently, our body, the drowsiness gets triggered when there's a drop in 1 to 3% degrees lower. So. Yep. This isn't, he's not going to get the Nobel Prize for this, but like a cool, dark bedroom is the complement to that scientific fact.
Did you actually see the temperature that's recommended?
No.
It's pretty extreme. I think, if I remember correctly, it's between like 63 and like 67 or 65 degrees. Mm-hmm. Most people would look at you like you're crazy if you say, hey, I've got my thermostat set on 63 degrees.
Right. Yeah. And again, males prefer colder temperatures than females. So I know that there's a gay guy couple that I know that are friends of mine, and they keep it like igloo cold in their in their house. And I'm like, well, you got a kind of like a head start, not having a woman tossing the blanket off next to you.
Well, there's your solution, man. I think you're implicitly saying.
Hey. So, why don't you add that protocol, Wes, and spreadsheet it, and you let us know. Let us know all the healthful benefits. Eh? So look, that's 9. Maybe that's 8 of them. Another one was if you wake up in the middle of the night, he's got this app called Revivey or something, and then the supplements. There was a bit of I wouldn't call it product placement, but there were a couple other items in that Huberman sleep protocol, which is like a blueprint that we can maybe add a link to. Kyle, if you want to add the Huberman sleep blueprint link to our socials. I thought that was a really good place to start. Again, we all have different schedules, but if we spend an hour just discussing the healthful benefits of sleep, it's my hope that, when we're, thinking about scrolling that phone for a few more minutes, or we see the lights on at 10 p.m., we just have a little bit of recall to this conversation and try just hitting the lights, turning off the phone, or as Wes recommends for himself, moving into a same-sex partnership. And maybe Wes, for more details on that, we can hop over to the members-only conversation, because we don't want to be flagged on YouTube for obscene content. Sound good?
Absolutely. Well, let me just add one more thing to that, if that's okay.
Sure.
I have noticed just a general trend and pattern, especially in human conflict, where somebody brings conflict to the table, and it is way easier to bring that conflict to somebody else's doorstep before you've done the fundamentals. Sleep is just one of them. But I view it as your responsibility to make sure you've checked the boxes on as many fundamentals as possible before you bring work to another human being, especially conflict-based work. So how much better could we as men be if we check those boxes first before we put that on somebody else's table? Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, we started this conversation with the scorecard: sleep, weight, water, active love, goal review, learning, journaling, movement, and meditation. And where I am at this point in my journey, I do this to stack wins and get myself fired up. But it's just as true that the scorecard allows our best selves to show up for our family, show up for our employers, show up for our community, show up for ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the flow chart, before you put anybody else in a corner and say, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing this? Like, scorecard yourself first. And honestly, and that might give you just enough pause to say, oh, maybe I need to take a nap. Maybe I need to get some food in me. Maybe I need to get some hydration. Maybe I haven't been on my exercise program as much. And dude, I'm convinced that 90 to 95% of conflicts or disruptions in workflow would be reduced if we all just looked in the mirror and objectively, not just the symbolic look in the mirror, look at your scorecard.
Yeah.
And I promise you, your results will have a direct correlation with your inputs. I promise.
Yeah. Next time I want to yell at someone, maybe I do a quick inventory.
Yep.
And then come to the conclusion, maybe they don't want advice from a bum.
Yeah. So no, completely agree with it, man. And myself included. So this is a call to action for that. Let me go round table here. Final words of wisdom. Phil, I know, sorry that the app was giving me a little bit of trouble. Any final words of wisdom for this episode, my friend? And you're on mute currently. You probably can see it. There you go.
No, not much to say. My life's too chaotic right now to have any kind of normalcy or sleep or whatever. So, whatever. Trying to fix shit before I can do any of this crap.
And by the way, this is why we want these roundtables, because we could say the most like sterile, prescription of something, but all of us are in different areas of life, which is why I love having all of you guys on here, because it brings a touch of reality to this stuff, so everybody's at a different season. So Phil, I appreciate that comment, but Paul Wall, you're up, brother.
Yeah, I'm a little dopamine fiend when it's time to go to bed. I feel like when I shut the dopamine off, like my mind starts to run. And so like kind of the opposite, like when the lights are on and the sound is going, like I can fall asleep. I guess not the lights, but like when sound and TV and stuff is on, I can go to sleep. But like when not, the thoughts just race. So I might try and figure some of that out and see what.
Meditation, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. At some point, Ray, we should set a goal if you're down for it. Having a meditation group, once a day or something. I know that I need it. So we got to, maybe you and I talk about that, of having a standard time where if anybody wants to meditate, they come on board. We do it for 20 minutes and then simple. Kyle, final words of wisdom, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, going back into regards to, emotional regulation, I think, being able to do the work first in a sense, because I've noticed where, I feel very either emotional or upset or, physically upset or kind of, wants to lash out in a sense, right?
Sure.
I noticed that once I kind of probably, check something off the scorecard, like working out that day, or, taking time to sit down, meditate, and just kind of like stare at the wall and reflect on your thoughts. And then by the end of it, usually it's kind of like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Okay, let me reassess everything and then approach it from there on in that sense. So don't forget to take a step back, I'd say.
Love it. Outstanding. Ray, final words, my buddy.
Don't sleep on sleep.
Awesome. Love it. And I will recommit. I'm going to commit to getting to bed on time. Max 11. I'm going to shoot for 10 during the weekdays and 11 on the weekends. I'll report back to you guys. All right, dudes. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Ray, I'll see you in a little bit for the next recording, and we'll go from there. Later, dudes.